So I have been explaining the different stages, the progression of the devotee of God. And I explained the first phase of Bhakti-Yoga, where the individual is still subject to reactive emotion, where other people are still able to press his buttons, where other people are still able to, and the events of the world are able to provoke emotion. And he is generally tossed and turned by the waves of emotion in the world. If somebody criticizes him, he experiences pain. Somebody praises him, he experiences joy. To come out of that phase, we have to turn. And by turning to Krishna, what we have to do is we have to offer all our emotions. We have to establish an intimate relationship with Krishna by sharing our emotions, by directing our emotions, by offering our emotions, by using our emotions to turn Him. This is Bhakti Yoga. And as we progress on the path of Bhakti Yoga, we reach the platform of moksha, jeevan mukti. And on this platform of jeevan mukti, we exhibit the signs of a sthita prajna, of a bhakta, of a karma yogi, of a dhyan yogi, of a gunati, and so on. So, what are the signs that we exhibit when we have advanced in Bhakti Yoga? When you have advanced in Bhakti Yoga, the progress you make is evidenced by your lack of reactivity. By lack of reactive emotions, you can refer to the description throughout the Bhagavad-Geeta on how a person behaves when he reaches age. Dukheshu anudvignamana sukheshu vijatastriha vitaraga bhaya krodha. He is not depressed when there's cause for sorrow. He is not excited when there's cause for joy. He is free from attachment, fear, and anger. Such is the sage of steadiness. Jitatmana prashantasya paramatma samantara. Sitoshana sukadukeshu tathamada. For one who has conquered his mind, for him God is already reached. For him, heat and cold, joy and sorrow, honor and dishonor, they are all the same. Similarly, he is even indifferent to the gunas that pass through him. He points out that prakasham cha pravrittim cha moham eva cha pandava na dveshati sampravritani na nivritani ka. He is indifferent to whether he is in a sattvic mood, which leads to enlightenment, whether in a rajasic mood, which leads to material acquisitiveness, whether he is in a tamasic mood, which leads to heedlessness and sloth and laziness. He is indifferent to all of these gunas. He is equal to all. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Shuni Chaiva Sapatvicha Pandita. He sees the Brahmana, the cow, the elephant, the dog eater, all of them he looks upon with equal vision. Surin Mitrarya Udasina Madhyastha Dvesha Bandhu Sadhushu Picha Papeshu Sama Buddhir Vishishyate. So he is completely the same emotionally, whether he is talking to a friend, to an intimate associate, to an enemy, to an interlocutor, whether he's talking to a saint, a sinner. All of these things are capable of uh, distinguishing the position of the sage who has reached the platform. And Krishna points out that Brahma-bhuta prasanatma na sochati kanchati sama sarvesh. So Krishna points out very clearly that when you have reached this platform of transcending reactivity, move beyond Bhakti-Yoga and you are on the platform of jeevan mukti. And on that platform, you are free from hankering and lamentation, from desiring and regret. You are look at all people, everybody with equal vision. And at that platform, you are gifted Para-Bhakti or Supreme Bhakti is gifted to you. Last time I pointed out that Para-Bhakti is the final stage of growth, and that is where actual bhakti takes place. So, moksha, jeevan mukti is not the end, it is in fact the beginning of spiritual. Many people believe that to attain moksha means that's the end. No, it's not the end. It is the beginning. Because until you attain moksha, you don't get para-bhakti. Until you get para-bhakti, you do not get devotion to God. Pure devotion to God. Unmotivated, uninterrupted devotion to God. So what does a person do when he is in para-bhakti? I pointed out last time, there are two types of behaviors. One behavior is the behavior with other people in the world. In his day-to-day vyavhar, in day-to-day performance of his swadharma. And he has to perform his swadharma because that is Krishna's desire and will. Tasmada sakta satatam karya karma karotya. So you must work even though you have no attachment to work. There is no reason for you to work, there is no reason for you not to work. So you must work even having attained Jivan Mukti. And Krishna points out that yad yad achar vishreshtas tatta devataro jana sa yad pramanam kurute lokastatanta. Sets an example to the rest of the population. And as a leader does, so do others follow. So Krishna wants you to continue. Now, when you attain Jivan Mukti and you're working in the world, even though technically you need not have any emotion towards the world, you now can self-generate emotion. This is not reactive emotion, this is called proactive emotion. So with proactive emotion, you are now able to connect with people in the world, get things done, communicate what needs to be done in the performance of your duties, in the performance of the spiritual. And I told you last time that today I would discuss what does the devotee do in his relationship with God. In his relationship with the world, he generates proactive emotion. He is not affected by the world reactively. But when he needs to get things done according to Swadharma, he generates proactive emotion. What does he do when he is on his own? And what does he do when he is directly relating with God? And this part, when he is directly relating with God, is very important. So, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is a verse in the Madhya Lila, which is in 23.14 and 15, which explains the progress of the devotee, how he moves in spiritual life and where different emotions come upon him. He says, Adau Shraddha. First you have faith. Tataha Sadhu Sangha. So then you begin to associate with devotees of Krishna. Bhajan Kriya. Then you begin to offer everything that you are doing to Krishna. You do your Swadharma, you offer your duties to Krishna in your, shall we say, recreational time or in your time which you have in, beyond what your work is. You engage in doing bhajan, which is you do kirtan, you do chanting or japa, you worship Krishna in every way you can and think of him. And as you get more absorbed with Krishna by doing your swadharma for him, as well as engaging in various attitudes of worship, which include chanting, bhajan, um, and so on, meditation and so on. He says that then he gets tato anartha nivritti. Anartha nivritti means you then lose attraction for the things of the world. So this is the platform on which you become sthita prajna. When you lose attraction for the things of the world, and as you lose attraction for the things of the world, you become increasingly attracted towards God. So the unwanted things, anartha, like eating products of violence, watching, getting into intoxications of various sorts, uh, engaging in illicit sexual activities or watching them, uh, and gambling. So you will lose taste for all of these things. And as you lose taste for all of these things, you lose taste for cricket, watching cricket and crime, and you will lose the taste for watching unwanted news which is not related to your dharma. And you will become increasingly and excessively focused on your swadharma or your duties and less inclined towards random events that are taking place in the world. So initially you will fall back. When a good cricket match comes, you'll go and watch the cricket match. Occasionally you will watch a movie. But as you become more advanced, you become nishtha. Nishtha means you now reach that state. Krishna says you now reach that state where you become firm in faith. And as you become firm in faith and you become nishtha, you will avoid kusang, which takes you towards anarthas. And you will then focus increasingly on that which will help you to perform your swadharma better and help you to become more devout. Then you get a taste. It's called ruchi. You get a taste for Krishna. And as you get a taste for Krishna, you become delighted hearing about it. You are excited when you see Krishna's hand in your life. You become excited when you see Krishna acting within the world. And you begin to see things through Krishna's prism rather than, because as you get absorbed in God and forget yourself, your joys and your excitement is increasingly related to your recognition of Krishna in the world. Just like a hungry young boy enters the house and he smells his favorite dish cooking in the kitchen and tells his mom that, hey mom, I know that what you're cooking, my favorite dish. So also you will be able to sniff out Krishna's hand in what is happening in your life. And as you see Krishna's hand as it is happening in your life, you will become increasingly joyful. You will become increasingly focused on your duties, which is for Dharma, done for Krishna, and for remembering Krishna and forgetting yourself. And then he says, then asakti, then slowly you become attached to it. Then slowly the last thing you remember when you go to bed is Krishna. The first thing when you get up in the morning, you remember Krishna in the uh, intervals between your activities, and you find yourself chanting in between your activities, waiting for some. When you're waiting for a phone call, when you're waiting to go somewhere, your mind is on Krishna. So you become attached to Krishna. And then all your powers will come out. We're going to discuss that a little later when we discuss the other shades of emotions that one experiences. And as he breaks from attachment to bhava, and then finally he moves into what is known as prem or pure love. And these are the stages by which the emotions develop towards Krishna. Prahlad was sitting on his father's lap. And while sitting on his father's lap, his father tells him that I have killed this enemy there and I have killed that enemy there, and I will kill that enemy tomorrow. So Prahlad tells him, my dear father, you have no enemy except your own son. And he said, in order to control your mind, you have to find parts. And in this, while describing this Navdana, he describes the nine activities stop the mind of the person who is engaged in Para-Bhakti. We may engage in it part of the time and some of them, but the one who's in Para-Bhakti engages in all of them, and he engages whenever he gets an opportunity. So Shri Prahlad Vacha, this is from the Bhagavad Purana, and 7 Canto 5.24, 23 and 24. Shri Prahlad Vacha, Shravanam Kirtanam Smaranam Vishnu, Pada Sevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atmanivedanam, Iti Pumsa Pita Vishnu Bhaktischin Navadakshana, Priyate Bhagavad-Geeta. So, the emotions of the person who is in Para-Bhakti drive him to constantly hear and chant the glories of God's name, form, qualities, Para-Bhakti, and pastime of Krishna. So, person becomes completely absorbed in remembering Krishna's name, form, qualities. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha diridvrataha namasyantastu mam bhaktya nityayukto upasate. He is all the time being absorbed in Krishna. He sees his name, he sees his form, he sees his activities, he sees his qualities. He offers prayers to the Lord, acts as if he's a servant of Krishna. He sees himself as the best friend of Krishna. He surrenders everything to him with his body, mind, and words. And this is the nature of a person who is in Para-Bhakti. And this person who is in Para-Bhakti is further associated with Krishna in uh, a relationship of his choosing, which is known as a rasa. A rasa is known as a spiritual experience attained through the spiritual body of the devotee, which is rooted in his personal deity. And here, this is described by Rupa Goswami. And Rupa Goswami describes 5 primary rasas. First is Shantaras. Shantaras is that rasa, where the person is so absorbed in Krishna and is absolutely contemplative and passive, and he's silent. That's why it's called Shantaras. He's silent and still with his profound realization of Krishna's grandeur of divine. Then you get another rasa, which is called Dasya rasa. It's an affectionate rasa rather than a contemplative rasa. And it marks a transition from distant adoration of Shantaras into active service where you see yourself as a devotee of God. It is that Dasya rasa is like Hanuman's attitude towards the Lord Ram. He's constantly wanting to do service. Then there is Sakhya rasa, which is the relationship of friendship, where you begin to understand and believe that Krishna is your friend. So whether it is Uddhava or whether it is any other friend of Krishna, you begin to consider yourself his friend and you begin to share affection. Then comes Vatsalya rasa, which is when you look upon the devotee, devotee looks upon the parent of Krishna. So you may keep a small Bal Krishna in your home, take care of him and feed him, and this is called Vatsalya rasa. And Sringara rasa is that love, which is the deepest kind of love where one is completely one with the Lord, just like between two lovers. So there are other rasas also, and these other rasas have been described elsewhere. But even though they have been described and they are not emphasized, each of these rasas can also, contribute to union with God. This includes Raudra bhav, Raudra ras. Raudra means anger. So, the Lord tells the guardians of Vaikuntha that by displaying anger towards those who are not qualified to enter into Vaikuntha, by displaying this anger, you will be united with the Lord. There is Adbhuta, which is wonder. There is Shringara, which is conjugal love. There is Hasya or comedy. There is Virya Ras, which is called chivalry and bravery. Seen in, shall we say, Bhishma, rather Bhishma, who picks up his chariot wheel and who picks up his sword and attacks Krishna. And he goes to attack Krishna with his sword, joyful that he will attack Krishna and he will die at the Lord's hand. Then there is Daya, and of course the five already mentioned. And that includes Bhayanaka, which is horror, Vipatsa, which is shock, and so on. So these are some total about 12 of the rasas that are. But the five mentioned earlier are the most important. Now, when we try to see what are the different stages of emotion that one goes through in their relationship with God, you have to see the Shikshashtakam. Because the Shikshashtakam, Krishna sees through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left only 8 verses, which are his instructions. And in fact, they are the instructions of the different stages that one advances through as one becomes closer and closer and closer to Krishna. So he starts by saying, the first stage is Cheto Darpana Marjanam Bhava Mahadavani Nirvapanam Shreyo Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidya Vadhu Jeevanam. Anandam buddhi vardhanam pratipadam purnamrita swadanam sarvatma snapanam param vijayate. Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. So when you congregationally chant the holy names of the Lord, your heart becomes cleansed. And all the fires of negative emotion that are there in your heart, birth after birth, they're all extinguished. And just like the moon spreads its cool rays, this chanting of the holy name, it spreads transcendental knowledge. You begin to experience freedom from reactive emotion. You begin to experience bliss, and it enables you to fully taste the nectar, which is a part of spiritual life. And then he says, Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shakti Tatrarpita Niyamite Smarane Nitadar. एतादृशी तव कृपात् भगवान ममापि दुर्दैवमीदृशम इहा जनि नानुराग. O Lord, your holy name alone can render blessings to all living beings. You have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna, Govinda, etc. And in each of these names, you have invested your transcendental potency. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names of the Lord. Out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by the holy name. But I am so unfortunate, I have no attraction for it. So you begin to realize the value of the holy name. And you begin to realize that you need to have more attraction for chanting. So the third verse of the Shikshashtakam says, Tranadapi sunichena tarorapi sayutuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sada. So this is a characteristic emotion which is seen in the devotee. And it's a very early stage it appears. It is called humility. I am a nobody who does nothing is the core of this. I am humbler than a blade of grass in the street. I am more tolerant than a tree. Without any false ego or prestige, I am ready to offer respect to all others. And when I have this state of mind, I can chant the name of God constantly. People often say they have difficulty in chanting God's name. And they have difficulty in chanting God's name because they don't have this quality of humility. As long as there is ego, there is difficulty. Only when you surrender that ego, when you become a straw in the street, a grass, blade of grass, which people can walk over, when you are more tolerant of the tree, and you are ready to offer respect to all others, expecting no respect for yourself, then you reach that state when you can freely chant God's name without any hindrance or obstruction. So, do you have any problem chanting God's name? Then look to this. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted this verse to be written and hung around your neck so that you constantly remember what state you are aspiring to. न धनम न जनम न सुंदरिम कविताम व जगदीश कामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवता. At this stage, your emotional desire for wealth, for attractive members of the opposite sex, to have any number of disciples or followers, no longer you want any of this. You only want your desire, your ability to continue to serve God birth after birth after birth. Because you're not even desiring to become free from it. You're not even desiring moksha. You're not desiring anything in the world. This is also a state of emotional turning away from the world. I nanda tanuja kinkaram patitam mam vishame bhavam bhutau. Kripaya tava pada pankaja sthiti. Oh Krishna, I am your servant. Somehow or the other, I am birth and death ocean. Please pick me up and place me as one of the atoms. You realize you're insignificant, and realizing you're insignificant, realize that you are eternal. Then we come to the next verse where actually all the bottled up tears that are there in the heart, they begin to aspire to have these tears released. And he says, Nayanam galadash shrudharaya vadanam gadgada hridaya gira ulake nichitam vapu kada tavanam grahane bhavishya. He's praying, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is praying, Oh my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? So you become so blissful and you become so joyful when chanting the name of God that tears begin to roll down your eyes. When your voice choke up, the voice begins to choke up, and the hairs on your body will stand on end when you begin to recite God's name. So this is the aspiration that one has. This is the goal that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu desires that he. Then he comes to the next verse where he says, Yugaitam nimishena chakshusha pravishaitam shunyaitam jagat sarvam govinda virahena. The previous verse he was aspiring for that state, now he has reached that state. He says, Oh Lord, I am feeling your separation. And I'm feeling a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes, like torrents of rain. And I'm feeling all vacant in the world. So this is the emotion which is known as uh, love in separation. The love in separation is uh, very exquisite emotion. Where you are missing the one you love, crying tears. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, is what you must feel for Krishna. Ashlishavapagaratam ginashtuar adarshanam marmatam karudva yatha tathava vididatulam tato matprananath susayeva. So, in the conclusion of Shikshashtakam, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrives at this realization that Krishna can treat me any way he wants. He is my Lord, even if he kicks me, even if he handles me roughly in his embrace, even if he makes me broken-hearted by not appearing in front of me. He can do whatever he wants because he's my Lord. And I will accept that and worship him unconditionally. So these are the different stages of emotions that one runs through when one is engaging in Para-Bhakti. So Shikshashtakam gives you the different stages that one advances through. So it allows you that if you believe that you are in Para-Bhakti, these are the stages that you will go through. Go through Bhakti-Yoga, you go through Moksha, jeevan, mukti, and then you go to Para-Bhakti. These are the different stages of emotion that you go through. I'll pause here. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. If you have any questions, please speak up now so that I can. So with this, I will conclude this session. If you have any questions, please ask me now. Otherwise, Hare Krishna, Jai Shri Krishna, Hari Om.